Hosted by Mike, the Big Cheese.
Underneath the chambers, we're right between the eyes. right, welcome back to the Heavy Metal Mayhem Radio Show. It is Sunday, July 26th. I can't believe we're wrapping up the month of July after tonight. Next week we'll be into August. It goes by that quick when I just get over. But we got a great show for you tonight. Interviews with Tom Dawson of Betrayer and Mike LoMastro of Nuse. We were talking to both of those guys during. We actually did both of these interviews. They were pre-recorded this week, but we're going to air them tonight on the show. So sit back and listen and enjoy. It was a sad week this week. We lost Luke Kohler from Sick of It All. I mean, I know Luke from back in the 80s when our bands played together. My band Stillborn and Sick of It All played together. I think they formed about 6 months after we did in Queens, New York. And we were all out of Brooklyn, except for our singer Terry, who was out of the Rockaways, part of Queens, technically. But, we played so many shows with those guys over the years. I had such a great time with them. We did some great jam one night after one of our shows that we played at CBGB's where they all came up. We did Louie Louie. I still got the video of it. I got to try to put it on the computer and see if I can get it up there for everybody. But he fought cancer hard for a long time, and it just came back and got him, and it's a shame because they were such a killer band, Sick of It All. We packed it in after about 6 years, and that was it for us. But these guys kept it going with a lot of other bands from that time. When the scene kind of died out, they kept going at it and going at it and giving us all this great music over the years. So he will be well missed. So my condolences to him, his family, and all the friends of the band. He was a good one. I think the last show we did with those guys was in '89 at the Right Track Inn. There was a lot of us on there. It was us, Mental Abuse, Rest in Pieces played on the bill. I think there was one other band, and we all opened up for Ludacris. That was a great show at that club. I used to love the Right Track Inn, a really killer club out of Long Island. So let's play some Sick of It All for everybody right now. I'd have to play like 20 songs to do a tribute because back then none of our songs were more than a minute long. I'm just going to do two, and we'll send that out to the guys from Sick of It All. Here's The Blood and the Sweat.
Sterling logic
had to play that song twice because it's so short. It was getting cut off, but there you go. A little tribute to Sick of It All. I haven't seen that band since the early '90s when we kind of played that last show together. It's been over 40 something years, but it's a damn shame. He fought really hard, but Lou was a good guy, good people. All right, we're gonna get to the interview in about 15 minutes because it's about an hour long, so I want to get that on as soon as I can. The first interview, then we'll get to the second one with Mike LoMastro from Nuse, a great thrash metal band out of New Jersey. We'll be talking to both of them tonight. Let me see. I was watching this show. What the hell's the name of it? But I can't think of the name of it. But it had D. Schneider and his wife in there. It's called Squatters. It's on the A&E network. This guy goes to people's houses that have squatters living in there, and he tries to get them out. Either he goes in there forcefully and evicts them, or he tries to negotiate a deal with them on the homeowner. And there was an episode with D. Schneider and his wife Suzette, and I had no idea her father lived out here in Staten Island, maybe a few blocks from my house. So it was kind of cool watching that because of a lot of the restaurants they're eating at, ones that my wife and I go to, and we're familiar with the neighborhood and the houses. Had no idea that her father lived there. But it's funny. They hired a caretaker for the father, and after the stepmother and the father passed away, these squatters took over the house. They've been living there, I guess, for about 4 or 5 years now. I didn't get to the end of it because I had to come and do the show, so I'll watch it tonight. I'm sure they got the house back, but it was pretty funny listening to them. I got to tell you, Dee Schneider's wife was always hot, and she's got to be in her mid to late 60s, I would think, by now, and she still looks pretty good. She got a little work done here in the face, but not too much where you say, okay, that doesn't look right, but still a good-looking lady. All right, well, we should be placed with Twisted Sister next, right? But we're not going to do that. We're going to get to Pierce. I'm going to try to get these guys on the show if I can. Sit back and enjoy. Here's Metalhead Dog.
Change for you in a town of metal looking for a metal hitter. You'll find her up from center stage with the backstage passes on a man. Well, I'm looking for a metal hitter. You pay for metal hitter. She looks like you there. She's fantasize her dreams for you. You can see it in her walk. Looking for a metal hitter. Just strip your mind of everything. If you give her what she wants, well, I'm looking for a metal hitter. You pay the price for metal hitter. She looks like you're there, but I'm already stuck in hell, metal hitter.
All right, Christian wanted to hear Tsunami. There you go. Masters of the 90. Before that, brand new Ruthless, Sign of the Cross. The band's out in Europe right now. I think they got like a 2 week tour they're doing out there. So I wish them the best of luck. I hope they're having a great time and killing it. I'm going to get Sammy on the show. Maybe we'll do it in the end of August after he gets back and he's rested a little bit. I'll reach out to him. Then we had Ostrogoth with Endless Winter Nights. And before that, Pierce with Metal Head Dolls. The band's out of New Jersey. They were out of New Jersey back in the day. They were just killer. I felt like they should have been so much bigger than they were, but that's a story with a lot of bands from back in the day. But I'm looking to get them on the show, so hopefully I can make that happen in August also. I think we're going to take it a little easier in August. I'm going to be off air for about a week or so because I'm going on a cruise, so we'll try to jam in a couple of guests. But I think we're going to start cutting back on the guests from now to the end of the year. Maybe, leave 1 week with just music so we could just chill out and hang out and talk and have a good time. Not that I don't have a good time with the guests, but, there's a lot of prep work for these interviews sometimes. All right, so how about we get to Beholder, Tom Dawson of Beholder. We spoke the other day, and we're gonna get the interview on right now. After Beholder, Tom was in a band called Thunder Tribe. They were pretty cool. So let's play a song off that record called War Chant. We'll talk to Tom, then we'll play some Beholder right after that.
I can feel the pain from your arrow. I can taste the fear that we gave you. Love the winds of dreams I'll fly up above the clouds so high. In the spirit of a flight, a wounded warrior. I wish I could ride your white horses. I dream that I can stand on higher ground. Wounded warrior. On the wings of dreams I'll fly up above the clouds so high. In the spirit of a flight, a wounded warrior. Wings of dreams I'll fly up above the clouds so high. In the spirit of a flight, a wounded warrior. Of the wings of dreams I'll fly up above the clouds so high. In the spirit of a flight, a wounded warrior.
Tommy, this is Mike calling for our interview. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. It's a pleasure to talk with you tonight.
You too, man.
I gotta tell you, I'm so happy that Lost Jewels got in touch with you and re-released a lot of the old stuff and put it out again. I mean, this was classic stuff back in the day that kind of got lost in the mix over the last 3, 4 decades. I'm happy that a whole new audience is gonna find it now.
Yeah, it's great. It's interesting. It's been almost 40 years. Um, we're happy to have everybody listen to the music we took so long to write and had a lot of thought into it. So it's just great that people get to listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of excited fans out there, especially myself from the old days who weren't able to get a copy of that original cassette that you put out. So we finally got something on, CD, maybe even vinyl down the road.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. Lost Jewels want to put out maybe a vinyl and then perhaps another CD with some new stuff on it that wasn't not new, but the stuff that wasn't on the original CD. We have a lot of stuff that we could put out.
That'd be fantastic. I mean, let's kind of take it back to the beginning for people that don't know the band, aren't familiar with Beholder. I mean, how did it all come about? How did it start? I mean, obviously you were probably in bands before Beholder started, but was this the first band where you kind of were going to the next step musically?
Yeah, this was the one that really, that we wanted to write originals, and the way that this got started, I was in a band called Riff Raff with Greg, who became our bass player and vocalist, and then Ross and Scott, who are the studio musicians on drums and bass on the Unforeseen. I was in a band with them, and so that's how I knew them. I met Kenny one day when I was jamming out in my parents' front yard. I was probably 16 or 17, playing my boogie combo with my Flying V, really loud. He pulls up in his bright red VW Bug with his Rolls Royce front grill, drives up the long driveway of the house, and he heard some rock guitar blasting from the road. He pulls up, and he sat there for a little while, and finally I stopped playing. I walked over, and I didn't know who this was, and he introduced himself. We started talking, and that's how I met Kenny, who's my writing partner in a lot of the early stuff. And so then we wrote the stuff for the Unforeseen EP, and we got Ross and Scott from my previous band to play in the studio, and then the Unforeseen was born. But our ambition from the very beginning with Beholder was we wanted to get a major record deal, be part of that metal explosion that was happening at that time. With all these awesome bands like Fates Warning and Merciful Fate, and we wanted to be a part of that. So that was our ambition at that time. We didn't want to do cover tunes. We wanted to get signed and get out there.
Back then, so many bands went the cover route because they felt that was the only way to get into a lot of the clubs because they wanted cover bands because it drew people in. They wanted to just sell alcohol. They didn't care about the music itself. They just worried about selling the liquor. But everybody went that route. They kind
Right.
of snuck in a little bit of it. Right from the beginning. You said, no, we're going to be an original band and it's going to be take it or leave it for us.
Well, we had already done the cover thing in the previous band. I started when I was really young, like 15. I was in that band with Greg and Ross and Scott. And then after that, after I graduated from high school, we were just like, we were dead set on, we're going to get signed. That's what we're going to do. We practiced 4 to 5 nights a week writing these songs. When Greg got in the band, we had vocal practice. I mean, that's all we did was we lived the music. And it was really an ambition of ours. All we wanted to do was play originals and get signed. And we got really close. But it just didn't happen.
Would you consider Kenny, Ross, and Scott the basic foundation of the Days of Beholder, or was it really just always you and Kenny and whoever else you got to play with you?
It was Kenny and me. We wrote all the songs. Ross and Scott came in and played their parts in the studio. I would tell them what's in my head, and Kenny would tell them what's in his head, and they would play the parts. Of course, we did rehearsals before we went in the studio. We were really ready to go. But we got that EP, The Unforeseen, out, which everybody loves the EP, The Unforeseen. That's like the piece by piece, that song Piece by Piece is what actually attracted Gadir from Lost um,
Lost Jewels.
Lost Jewels Records, Lost Jewels, yeah. That's what attracted him to it. He saw it on YouTube, so it's got some really cool riffs in it. But no, it was Kenny and I.
Yeah. Did you not want to look for a permanent band, or was it just you just weren't able to find the right people to play with that kind of fit into what you were trying to do?
Well, we just wanted to get in the studio and get it done, and then shop it out. Um, Kenny, Ross and Scott were already in other bands. They were really good musicians, really known around that area. And so we just grabbed them and wanted to get in the studio. And we knew that we could come up with some members later on to actually do the live thing. But we really just wanted to get the demo out.
Was Richmond, Kentucky, a pretty good area for metal back then, for hard rock and heavy metal?
You
Was it
know,
a
it's
struggling scene?
that's a very that's a very good question. Richmond had a club called the Phone 3 Lounge, and there were a lot of bands that would come through and do their rotation at Phone 3. It was one of the places that you would play. Back then there was a circuit. The bands would go to Cincinnati, they would go to Lexington, they would go down in Tennessee, places in Ohio, Indiana, and then they would come through Richmond and they would play at the Phone 3. So it would be these great bands you would get in there in Phone 3, and it really established kind of a musical sort of uh, clique in Richmond, of all places. And there were a lot of great musicians in that area in Richmond, Kentucky, I'll tell you. Really good musicians.
I can imagine. For people that live in today's world, they think everything is like it was back then. We have the internet today, and you could put a song on there that goes across the entire world in a matter of seconds. Back then, you had to start local. You had to build up a following locally, then kind of try to work your way out. I mean, was that the path that you guys were taking? Or you were just looking to go right for the top?
Well, we established ourselves in that area, but no, our ambition was to shop this demo out, and you know, after the studio demo was finished, find a bass player and a drummer that we thought would work with us, and then shop the demo out and try to get signed. That was it. I mean, that was our entire, like I said, practicing 4 to 5 nights a week. We did vocal practices. We lived this. We weren't the normal 20 something people that, by then I'm getting into the 18, 19, 20-year old. We didn't want to go party all the time. We just wanted to play music. That's what we wanted to do. And so um, took it as far as it could go without getting signed, basically.
Yeah, you can only do so much. People don't realize how difficult it was back then. We didn't have all the
There's a
technology
lot
that we
of
have
luck.
today.
There's,
Yeah.
there's a lot of luck to being signed. You have to know the right people, be in the right place. It's not always whether your music is good or not. It's a lot of other factors that are involved with that. But
Anybody who listens to any music anywhere knows that, because you'll see some bands and you scratch your head saying, "How the hell did these guys make it?
right, right.
What were these guys drinking that they became so big?" And it's a matter of being in the right place at the right time and having a lot of luck. And the Unforeseen you put out on cassette, was that the first recordings that you guys didn't release? Because I know there were other tapes that were out there. I've never even heard of them or got a hold of them. I know there was Missionary Rogue, Shock the World, and I know there was a Behold the demo that came out, I think, after the Forgotten EP.
Yeah, the Unforeseen was the first one. That was in '87, and then we did four of them after that because we just kept writing songs. Once Greg got in the band, he was in a project called Pharaoh. He was very well known as an awesome vocalist in that area, and very well known. He was very popular and selling good. So we just kind of, meshed our creativity, and he came into Beholder, and it really added a lot of musical artistry. When he came in, we all had the same goal. Then we got Tony. Tony was a killer drummer, known quite well in the circles in that area as well. And we just practiced like crazy, and just kept writing songs, and it ended up coming up with 5 different demos, including the Unforeseen. Um, that's all we did. I mean, we did that for years. We just kept writing songs, hoping that something would happen, sending it out. We finally got hooked up with a guy named Ricky Reynolds who knew a lot of people in the business. He'd worked with Roy Thomas Baker and just different people, and he wanted to help us, and he got us in some places, and then we went and recorded the demos at Ardent and Kiva in Memphis, where a lot of really big artists have recorded, and got a really, really good sound from that, and put together that 3-song demo that went out to a ton of record companies. And they were calling like crazy at that time. I actually got to talk to a few of them, and they just kept saying, send us more stuff. And thankfully we had more stuff, you know. It was a 3-song demo. We love it. We love it. Send us more stuff. So we'd send with 3 more songs, and we love it. You know, can you send us more stuff? This went on for a number of months, until the Nirvana thing hit. When the Nirvana thing hit, it was like the attitude changed a little bit, in the entire musical world. But so when
Well,
Nirvana hit, I mean,
yeah, but
they were basically, go ahead.
no, I'm saying the Unforeseen came out in 1987, if I remember right.
Yeah, right.
The other tapes were recorded like one after the other after that, because the Unforeseen to me was just a really nice release. I mean, look at a very professional cassette tape that was made up. Were the other ones done the same way,
Yeah.
or were they
So
more the demos?
the Unforeseen was 1987, and then we did a live one, which I can't even find a copy of. It's been almost 40 years. Then we did Shock the World. That was probably 89, 90-ish. And then Missionary Rogue was probably around 91. And then Spiritual Violence, which has a lot of killer things on it, around the 92 time. But then we went in and did an actual professional 3-song demo that we're going to send this out to everybody. We had already been sending things out. Things weren't happening. And so we did a professional 3-song demo at Kiva Ardent, and that's when we started getting some hits. That was around 91, 92.
So the band went on until the mid '90s at least.
And probably 92, 93. I'd say
Okay.
93, we probably just kind of started doing our own things, It never really broke up. It was more of, the record companies that were calling. The Nirvana thing hit, and they were calling and saying, hey, it looks like the music industry is kind of taking a turn. Can you guys, literally asked me this, can you, on the phone with the A&R rep for, it was either Warner Brothers or Metal Blade, I can't remember which one, said, can you, kind of write in the style, in the vein of what's happening right now, which is the kind of that Nirvana thing that's going on. And I was taken aback. I was like, I don't really think we can change our writing style. We are who we are. And that was literally the last phone call that I got.
It's crazy because so many bands were asked to change their sound and style in the '90s when everything started changing musically, and some bands didn't. It kind of bummed out on. They lost the original fans that they had because they didn't recognize who the band was anymore, and the newer fans didn't really kind of believe what they were doing. So you were like in a catch-22. But I could never see Beholder being like a grunge type of band. If you started a grunge band from scratch,
No,
this,
no,
this is what
it's
I'm going to write. You can't just change, sound and style like that and make it relevant.
no, no. You just can't do that, because what comes out of you is who you are.
Yeah.
You spend so much time on this style that you've developed. I think we had really a unique style. I mean, of course we have our influences. Our influences. Mine was Merciful Fate, Metallica. I love Fate's Warning. Kiss was a big influence of me. If you notice, in some of the photos, we have some makeup and we have theatrical costumes, and we really wanted to add a show to the music, with Greg, Queensryche was a big one for him. So you can't really change that. It's who you are. So
It's true, and it's a shame because you
yeah,
guys, to me, you had the look, you had the songs, you had the style, and the logo of the band. Everything was made for the big leagues. It just doesn't happen. That's the sad part about it. But when does
it's
it end,
the
and how does it end when it does end?
well, it just that was the last phone call that I got from that A&R rep, and the phone calls started dwindling, and people were, the record companies were wanting to go for that Nirvana sound and that grunge sound, and that's where we all just kind of started getting involved in other things. It never really broke up. We didn't just like call each other, "Hey, we're breaking up." That wasn't how it happened. It just kind of,
Fizzled
kind of
out.
went away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like you run into Kenny like 3, 4 years later, and he's like, "Yeah, I was in a band with you, wasn't I?" You don't remember after a while, but
No, we
things.
all we all still stay in touch. Actually, we all stay in touch, but we're all doing our own things. We lost Tony in a car accident, so then we got Trey, and Trey was actually the one who recorded the final demo, the 3-song demo that was professionally recorded at Ardent and Kiva. So that's with Trey Bledsoe, and he's the one on the front cover of this CD down at the bottom with the straight jacket on.
Okay, was that tape with Eye of the Beholder, Time of Reckoning, and That Too Earth?
So, excuse me, what now?
Was that the 3 song demo that was Eye of the Beholder, Time of Reckoning, and It to Earth?
Yes, yes, yes. Why did you find that?
I wish I could find your stuff is almost impossible to find. That's the funny part
It
about it.
is. You
I
know
mean,
what? I can't even find it. I can't even find it. I've called a ton of people. I cannot find that. But I do have the original recordings with that. But I cannot find that actual tape, the one that was in the cassette. I cannot find it.
musically, all the recordings that you did, did they all kind of like follow the same trend, or was the sound changing a little bit, or adapting to like different things?
That's a good question. I think they changed a little bit over time. They got a little bit more dreamy, maybe, and less, because if you listen to the Unforeseen, it's really some heavy guitar, and I always used Boogie, and Kenny always used Marshall, and I thought they had a great mix of sound. The way that we were into the heavy Metallica type guitar sound, we really liked that. But as we got a little bit more mature, I guess, with our music, it got a little more dreamy and a little bit more conscientious sounding. I don't know if that's uh, a good words, but that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I mean, but it all comes to an end around 92 for you guys. I mean, you move on to other bands after that, because the next time I remember hearing about you was in Thunder Tribe, and that was a great record that came out, that War Chief
Yeah,
record. But
yeah,
that was like
yeah.
maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago. But what happened in between that time?
Just living life, man. I mean, there was a little time when I took a break from music and did different things, and you know, went back to college and this sort of thing. And you just start realizing what is for you. And I'm a musician at heart. So, after the college thing, I went right back into it. Went right back into the music. But yeah, you just start doing different things.
Well, talking about Thunder Tribe, when I came across that record, it took me a while to realize that Dr. Rock was Valentine, which was Tommy Dawson, which was you. And I mean, it was such a great
I've got,
record. It
yeah,
was so deep and in depth, that record.
yeah, I've got some pseudonyms floating around. That is for sure.
Hey, that's the rock and roll. That's rock and roll. That's the lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. But no,
Yeah.
I have fun with it. I have fun with it. I'm in 2 bands right now that I have a lot of fun with. And I'm having a lot of fun with this Beholder CD being released. And we're going to have more fun when we release the vinyl, and perhaps some other music that I just recently found at in the attic of my old house where my parents live. So we'll hopefully be releasing that soon with the Beholder label on it, because that's some great stuff that needs to be out there.
Yeah, we definitely need to hear more. There's no doubt about that. But with the compilation, 87 to 92, that's, out on Lost Jewels right now. Was there anything that was done to it? Was it remastered in any way, or was it just the original recordings put out?
Are you talking about the
The
'87?
Yeah, the 87 compilation that's out right now.
The part of that compilation is '87. I think there's 5 songs on there from '87. But yeah, we so when I went in there with Kenny and Ross and Scott, I was singing the vocals. And so the what you're hearing now on this CD has actually Greg singing the vocals. We went back in and re-recorded it with his vocals. And I'm singing some things too. But Greg is such a great singer, and we just wanted to have his vocals on it. So we went back in there probably around 88, 89, and re-recorded his vocals on the
Okay.
original stuff on the Unforeseen. Yeah.
Was it always the plan to get somebody else to do the singing?
No, not really, but he's so great that you can't deny how, when you've got a great vocalist like that, you have to use him. I mean, and with him and me intertwining our harmonies, like our high harmony, I can sing high, he sings high, and we just tried to come up with these different harmonies, the way they interact and the way they intertwine with each other. It was just something very unique that we wanted to get out. Um, and so, yeah, no, he added a lot to that.
Yeah, it does sound great. It really does. And I heard somewhere that back in the day, you didn't really want to get involved with playing the bar scene or the bar circuit. You wanted to go right for the clubs. Was
Man,
that
you
something
are
that,
on it.
hey, that's my
I
job.
don't know where you're finding this stuff.
That's
That's
where I get paid
great.
the big bucks from. Look up, but was that true that you didn't really want to get involved with the bar scene? And a lot of bands didn't want to, but they had no choice because that was all that was available to them.
No, we didn't want to play bars. We did not want to play bars. Our entire ambition was getting signed. And if, we knew that we were going to have to play live at some point to do that. And so that's when we started, looking for, a person like Greg on bass and vocals, and then another drummer. And we wanted to play amphitheaters, and we ended up playing Bogarts. So we played down at Full Sail. We played a couple places in Tennessee, Ohio, but they were more amphitheater style. We played, I think, at Eastern Kentucky University at the Ravine. And we did end up playing a few bars. You almost have to. There's just no way to bypass it, completely. But our main thing was amphitheaters. Let's just do it if it's going to take us somewhere. We're not just going to play to be making money. We're going to be playing if we have the right eyes on us. And that was our mentality at that time. Everything we did at that time was to pursue a record deal. We did not care about playing bars.
You have to aim big. You got to keep your eye on the prize, and you guys knew exactly what you wanted to do by, aiming big and not going for the small stuff. Where the bands always settle for everything and then it winds up backfiring on them somewhere down the road and it doesn't pay off. You guys didn't think that way. And when you think about it, you couldn't have been more than 20, 21 years old. You were probably still young kids back
That's
then.
about
So you had your
yeah.
mind, you had a pretty good business sense for guys back then who really just wanted to get laid, get drunk, and go play on stage and put out a record if they could.
Yeah, that was not us at all. No, no. We were, like I said, we were practicing 4 to 5 nights a week. I know that sounds crazy in today's world, but we really did because we loved it. We loved going in that practice room in that damp basement underneath some building in Richmond, Kentucky, and it got flooded a couple of times. I remember my Flying V was in a case. Thankfully, I put it in a case. We would keep our instruments in there too, and it got flooded. And I come in there, and my Flying V is floating like on a foot of water in the
Oh.
case. Yeah. But anyway, we just loved playing the music. We loved getting down there and writing and coming up with different things and to put in the songs. It was fun.
That it was the whole decade was a great decade and always and was a lot of
Well,
fun. And
well, the whole music business is different now.
yeah,
Bands don't get signed like they used to. They don't used to. You got signed, and then they would put money into marketing and promoting you and this and that, and it just doesn't happen the same way anymore. It's all based on YouTube, and it's just a different atmosphere right now as far as music goes. Everything is digitized. You know,
it's a
it's
like you
just
said,
not the same.
it's a different world. I mean, outside of the handful of major labels that survived, all the changes in music over the last 20 years, all the small independent labels are nothing more than a distribution outlet. They want you to turn over to them a completely finished product that you pay for out of pocket, and then they'll send it out to the
Exactly.
different distributors. So really, it's just distribution is the sole record label's job today, unless you can get signed to Warner or Atlantic or one of those, which is almost impossible, unless you're a pop artist.
Right. Right.
It's just crazy the way
Yeah.
things have gone. But
It
I
is.
mean,
It's very different now. Absolutely.
well, you said earlier you're still in touch with Kenny, so I mean, would you think about putting another lineup together again of Beholder and maybe just going out and doing some of the festivals or some one-off shows here and there where people might
I
want to
mean,
see the band?
that's an interesting thought. And I've thought about it. It would have to be pretty lucrative for us to. Greg lives in Las Vegas. Uh, Kenny's doing his thing. I mean, we're all doing our own thing. It would have to be pretty lucrative because think about it. Imagine, it's been almost 40 years. There are some serious musical things going on in those songs. I mean, if you listen to the songs, we would have to relearn all that stuff. It's not four chord, you know,
Yeah,
kind of things. There's a lot of stuff in those songs.
it's not AC/DC. You could just
No, no, no,
you don't forget that same riff over and over again.
no. There's a lot of things going on in those songs, vocally and musically.
Could you pick up a guitar today and actually remember how to play one of those? It's not like people think it's
Oh
like getting on
yeah,
a bike, you know?
Yeah, one of the bands I'm in, I play guitar in. I play bass in another one. So I'm in a band called Wicked Sensation. I play bass in, and then I've got another band that I'm called Roses and Rattlesnakes that I play around the Louisville area. But yeah, I could play guitar, and that's. I mean, it would just take a while to learn the parts again.
Well, that's the hard part because people think it's like riding a bike. You don't forget once you get back on it again, but you do forget a lot of the parts. You got to listen to it and say, "Wow, what the hell was I doing there?"
Right, right. Because there's a lot of harmony guitar parts that Kenny and I played, and a lot of harmony vocal parts that Greg and I would have to work on. It would take a little while to get it together, but nothing is ever out of the question. I never say never. Um, if the right deal came along, who knows what might happen?
Yeah, well, it would be great to see Beholder, play somewhere doing something. But as far as lucrative goes, there's nothing in heavy metal that's lucrative anymore, unless you're Metallica or Iron Maiden or one of those bands. It's hard right now. I mean, bands just make enough money to get by from like show to show if they're still out there playing like that.
Right, right.
It's hard. Then you get bands like Quiet Riot do the one-offs. They fly in, they do a show, they go somewhere else, they fly and do a show. They don't go on tour no more, but they get paid enough just to do it and come back. It's a rough business. The business has really turned rough.
Yeah, it has changed. It definitely has changed. You
Well,
know.
going back to those early days when you were shopping around the cassette to different labels, I mean, was the one that was like really close to almost getting signed, or didn't even get to that point yet?
Oh no, we were very close. So they were literally saying, "We love you guys." I mean, I was talking to the A&R guy probably at least once a month, sometimes more, sometimes every other week or so. And they would call and say, "Hey, this is so and so from Metal Blade Records. We love your stuff. Have you got any more stuff for us?" And I would send them a couple more songs because I didn't want to send them our entire catalog at that point.
Yeah.
I just kept sending them a couple songs here and there, and then they would ask for a little bit more. We've talked about it. I've met with so and so, and we all really like it. Can you send us a little bit more? We're trying to make a decision here about how to handle this, and I would send them a little bit more. And then all of a sudden, that fatal phone call of Nirvana's taken off. Can you perhaps change your writing style a little bit toward that? I'm like, I don't know. We can't do that. I mean, I think I said I'll talk to the guys, but I know that we can't change it.
Yeah.
How can you do that? If it's in your blood, it's in your blood. Our writing style was who we were. You can't just change it.
Yeah, absolutely. Record labels are business. They're just looking to calculate and cash on what the next big phase is going to be, the next big fad is going to be. That's all they're interested in is doing that, and that's how some of them survived all this time. But it is a rough business. But when you think back then, I mean, it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback years later. But if you did sign to one of those labels, Metal Blade, Warner, any one of them, I mean, how do you think things would have turned out with the grunge scene coming on, not a couple of years
That's a
later and
great
taking over?
question. Yeah,
Do you
I
think they
don't
would have
know if we would have
survived?
lasted. No, I don't know. Probably not. I don't know unless we got some underground, you know, some affection from the underground world that kept us going. I don't know how anybody would survive. I know it killed a lot of metal bands. You
Yeah.
know,
Some of the big bands went on that they couldn't make it, they couldn't hold that. They came back 10 years later, like a lot of the bands did, when the scene started picking up again around 2000, and the new bands were coming out playing classic metal from the 80s, and there was a whole new wave of a whole new generation, a lot of young bands cashing in on that too right now. So it's great that it's come back, in full circle, and it'll probably stay that way, but it'll never be like the heydays that it was back then. But it'd be great to see you guys back in and doing something with it. I mean, just like I said, it's got to be worthwhile to you money wise also.
it does have to be worthwhile because we're all into other things right now that we really all of us enjoy our lives right now, and it would have to be. But I would love it. It would be fun. It really would be.
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, so many bands that were in the same position you guys were. You put out some great stuff, and then everything kind of changed and disappeared and went away. Some of them have come back years later, and they've put out new music, and it doesn't kind of ring true to what they used to be. They're trying to capitalize on what's out there right now. I mean, when you think of the big picture of the whole thing, I mean, if you had to get together today and write music, would it still sound like Beholder, or would it have a little different tinge to it based on 30 years
Mm,
of influences coming in and out of your life musically?
no, I don't think it would be. I really don't think it would be the same. From my point of view, I would probably write simpler songs. To be honest with you, those songs were quite complicated um, musically. I would probably go for a little simpler because that's what catches, in your head when you're listening to a riff or you're listening to you know, something that you can't get out of your head. It's usually a simple progression. It's not some complicated thing, but we didn't think that way back then. We just, came up with riffs and different things, and it turned out great. There's a lot of very memorable parts in those songs. I've gone back to listen to them after this CD came out, and I'm like, wow, we really came up with some cool stuff, back then. But no, I probably would not write that way back now. I just don't see myself writing like that now.
Well, I mean, even though the songs had complicated song structures, there was great riffs and great melodies to those songs that made them
There
all
was,
very,
there
very
was,
memorable. Piece by piece, I
there
mean, that
was.
riff, that opening riff hits you in the head piece by piece
It
as soon
does.
as it
It
comes
hits
on.
you in the face.
Yeah, it's a tremendous song, and I mean, when I think about that and other tunes like that, I mean, I thought you guys, I just thought you had it all going on. You had the music, you had the looks, you had the sound. I don't know if it came out 25 years later with the technology we have now, would you had a bigger reach, maybe, but it's also harder to find things today on the internet than it was back then. Just going around putting flyers up on telephone poles.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
No, we were talking about, back then we talked about, in our songs, it was kind of a high intensity emotional experience, that we talked about consciousness and we sang about the unknown and the cosmos and the universe and things like that. Yeah, I'm not sure I would write about those now. I don't know, man. It's a good question. I would just have to get everybody in the same room and see what we come up with.
Yeah. Did you think people forgot about Behold as I mean, you put a lot of time and effort into this band, listening to what you're saying today, but all the music that you wrote, the cassettes that you recorded back then. But as the decades went on, did you think people just forgot about the band? It was just like a little blip on the radar?
Mm, I don't think people forgot about the band. I think everybody just kind of moves to the next thing, because I do know that when this CD came out, a lot of the people that came and saw us and that were kind of in the, I guess, the beholder atmosphere at that time have contacted me and go, wow, man, I would love to get a copy of that. And I've heard from so many people that I haven't heard from in forever. So I'm not sure we were forgotten about. We were just kind of, okay, that didn't happen. I'm moving on to the next thing, sort of.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it is here in the U.S. It's very trendy here. Like when the internet came out and then social media started, and you had like MySpace and Facebook and places like that, people started realizing that that heavy metal scene from the '80s, it never died in Germany, it never died in Japan, it never died in a lot of these European countries. They still were living it and breathing it over there, like it was the 1980s over here. It's just this country that kind of like it went by the wayside
That's a
because we're very trendy here. But other places didn't forget about it. Like my God, these countries have been keeping this stuff alive all this time. Look at all these bands that are playing there.
You raise a great point, and I'll tell you something. You can't get the sound of bands that were back in the '80s. You almost can't get that anymore. You have to go back and find the bands like a Beholder that did it back then, but didn't get signed, didn't get the worldwide distribution. That's still that '80s sound, kind of. And I think that, like Lost Jewels Records, they've got something here because they're grabbing onto that and they're re-releasing it. I think it's something. It might be the next big thing. Go find bands that weren't signed, that were really close, and re-release them, and people will really enjoy that because it takes them back in time. You can't get that now. You almost have to go back there then and get it.
True. Most of us don't have a time machine. So labels like Lost Jewels, I mean, there's about a dozen reissue labels. They call them reissue labels. They reissue old demos and bands that maybe put out a couple of singles back then, and they just re-release it. They give it a new packaging. And, you have a lot of people like myself who remember you guys from back in the day, but you also got a lot of young kids that are hearing about you guys or hearing your music for the first time that couldn't get a hold of that tape or find that music anywhere. So it's bringing your music to a whole new audience, a whole young audience. And the kids today just eat this stuff up.
Right, right. No, I agree with you. It's selling really good overseas. It's selling really good. Selling out. I can't believe it.
It would do the same
It's
here, but
selling
it costs a
out.
fortune to ship it over here. That's the problem.
No, I know. Well, there are some United States distributors, but it is selling really well. I was talking to Gadir the other day, and he said he sent me some things. It's selling really well.
I'm sure it is because, like I said, people know a couple of your songs, but weren't able to ever get a hold of any of those cassettes from back in the day. So the fact that they can get them now, and you even saying that there's more music that hasn't come out on this compilation that might come out on another one, that's just fantastic. You have that much music still left over that you could. Are they completely finished songs that you recorded back then, or there's some songs that need a little touching up?
No. They're complete recordings. No, they're complete recordings. We've got enough probably to put out a whole nother CD. I
Wow.
mean, it might, yeah. Some really cool stuff too. It's good. So we may go that route. Well, and I was talking to Gadir. He wants to do perhaps a vinyl and then maybe another CD. So we'll see what happens.
Well, that's going to be great. Tom, I'm not going to keep you, man. I appreciate you taking the time out today to talk to me. We're going to add a couple of songs to this interview and get it on the show this Sunday night. But, man, it was great having you on here. Great talking with you. I can't wait for the next CD to come out because I've been burning through this one like crazy. And I'm waiting for the vinyl to
Oh
come out. So I
man,
really felt like it's the '80s again, getting this on vinyl.
I totally appreciate it, Mike. It's been great talking with you, talking about the music business, and I love your show.
Thank you,
Keep
Tom. I
it going.
appreciate that. I will, buddy. We'll talk again real soon, hopefully.
Hopefully, yes.
You got it,
Bye.
buddy. Take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye. you go. Piece by piece. Absolutely love that band. I hope that those songs do get released. I hope we get another record from them. It'd be great to see them actually get back together in some shape or form. You never know what can happen, right? I said the same thing about August when I interviewed them, and look, they're recording a new record. It took about 15 since I interviewed them to do that. More importantly, Sneak Attack. I don't care who takes credit for that reunion. I'm taking credit for it because I got the ball rolling on that about 10 years ago, but I'm waiting for that new record to come out. It's going to be great. Mike Sabatini of Attack is behind the helm on that one, so I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, we'll get it sometime this year. All right, we got one more interview to go. Mike LoMastro from Nuse. We'll be talking to him in about 15 minutes. I want to get on a couple of more tunes between now and then. And I guess the big news this week was that Andy LaRock left King Diamond's band. I mean, the last couple of interviews that Andy's done, he's kind of sounded frustrated that he gave King music many, many years ago for the new record, and they've got songs to work on, and nothing is going anywhere, nothing happens. I don't know if King's not interested in putting out new music or he's just dragging his feet in it. I have no idea. I mean, listen, we're all getting older, and it's not as easy to do. He goes out on tours here and there, and I guess maybe that's enough for him. Who knows? But right after he announced that he left the band, they announced that Gus G is a new guitar player. And I'm reading these comments on Blabbermouth that Gus is not a great guitar player, is nowhere as good as Andy. Gus played with Ozzy. Gus G is an amazing guitar player. Is he the right fit for King Diamond's band? I mean, I try to picture it. I don't see it, but sometimes those kind of fits surprise you and they work out well. Who knows? But that's the new thing. He's going to focus on Lex Legion right now. I know we're going to have them on the show, I think sometime next month. I reached out to them, but they're doing a press day, so I'm not going to bypass the A&R people and the press people. I'll wait till they set it up. So I'm guessing sometime maybe then the Vocals will have one of the members on the show. It's just such a tremendous record. It's like in my top 5 for the year right now. All right, but let's get us some brand new music by Heretic. You probably forgot about these guys. It's been that long. But Heretic haven't put out a record in, I don't even remember. I think the last one was 2017, A Game You Cannot Win. They haven't broken up. They've just been laying really low the last 10 years or so. I'm not really sure why. Maybe the band got busy with other stuff on a personal level. Who knows? But the record's called Shape of Things to Come. Let's play the title track from that record. Let me know what you think.
Evil was his crime. Do you want to live forever? I will show you how. It's the blood of the Lamb of God. Spread about your brow. Follow me to a place called paradise. The choice is yours to make your free will. It is written every knee shall bow. Judgment day will soon be fulfilled. Taxi with an apple by another. Take a match and my lover. You and me, free from paradise. Kill and steal and sacrifice. Oh, the blood runs thick through your flesh and bone. The Almighty looks down from the throne. To the east of paradise, vanished from the fold. To the east of paradise, a place where the young grow old. To the east of paradise, vanished from the fold. To the east of paradise, a place where the young grow You and me, free from paradise. Kill and steal and sacrifice. No, the blood runs thick through your flesh and bones. The Almighty looks down from the throne. To the east of paradise, vanished from the fold. To the east of paradise, a place where the young grow old. To the east of paradise, vanished from the fold. To the east of paradise, a place where the young grow old. You and me, free from paradise. Kill and steal and sacrifice and go. The blood runs thick through your flesh and bones. The Almighty looks down from the throne. To the east of paradise, vanished from the fold. To the east of paradise, a place where the young grow old. To the east of paradise, vanished from the fold. To the east of paradise, a place where the young grow old. Place where the young grow old. Place where the young grow
All right, New York's finest, Lace Dragon, End of Paradise. You know you can pick up that record from my friends over at Heaven and Hell. They did a great job on releasing that a few years back, so go and get a copy of it. All right, we're going to get to our last interview of the night. Mike LoMastro of Nuse. We're going to be running a little past 8 o'clock, obviously. But before I do, you remember Happy Days? They coined that phrase, jumping the shark when a show is past its prime. I think that's what they need to start doing for the Keep It True Festival. I know there's a lot of diehard fans out there, but they had the one festival. It was great for a long time. Then they added Rising. Then they did Rising for a few years. They said they were going to stop doing it because it was too much doing two festivals in one time. So they got rid of Rising for 1 year, or they didn't get rid of it because it came back the next year. Now it's back again next year again. So they had the final Rising festival twice. It's like a Kiss, it's like a Kiss end of the road tour. You retire twice. Now it's back again. Plus now they added Legions in the summer. So each of these festivals has between 20 to 30 bands over the 3 days that they do it. Okay, so that's 60 to 90 bands a year that they got to book. They're running out of bands. They've gone through the whole list of bands from back in the days that they helped reunite, and it was great back in the day. Now what we get is combinations of a tribute to German metal, a tribute to the Pohop metal, a tribute to this metal, a tribute to that metal, the Lords of the New Age of British metal. It's a lot of tribute bands on there, and now on top of that, they announced the big headlines. So you expect like, wow, who did they reunite, or what band did they get back together, or what rarity of a band? It's Lynch Mob. Who the fuck cares about Lynch Mob? But it's not Lynch Mob doing Lynch Mob. It's Lynch Mob doing Dokken songs because George Lynch played in Dokken. He was a very vital part of that band. He was a guitar player and one of the main songwriters. But if I want to hear Dokken songs, I would like to see Don Dokken sing it, even though he can't really sing himself anymore. I don't want to see Lynch Mob and whoever gets to sing with him this time. I think it's Andrew Freeman's doing it. Andrew Freeman is the king of cover bands. He's been in every band I can imagine that had to replace a main or a key singer. He's the guy that they get to do it. So, I mean, what's the big deal? Lynch Mob plays clubs all over the states, and they perform in front of maybe 50 to 100 people. They're the headlining band for Kit. Lynch Mob with Andrew Freeman singing, and all these people like, oh, this is fantastic. Oh, this is going to be the best night ever. I can't wait. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding? Lynch Mob is what you're waiting to see? You got to be doing better than this. If not, just pack the whole fucking thing up and call it a day. Because if you can't get any more bands reunited or get some of the classic underground bands that are still playing the come by and headline at night, and Lynch Mob is the best you can do, I mean, next thing you know, they're going to get that Battery cover band, the headliner festival. It's just ridiculous, in my opinion. I know these promoters lay a lot of money out on the line. Some of them come up, on the short end of the stick time and time again. But this has gotten to be a big festival. You got to do better than this. I don't think anybody really wants to see Lynch Mob or gives a shit about Lynch Mob. Even with George Lynch is the guitar player for Dokken. And they're not doing Lynch Mob, like I said, they're doing Dokken. But enough about that. Let's get the Mike LoMastro from Nuse. Let's play something off the, I don't know what we're going to do first. Let's do Grass Fed, and then we'll talk to Mike, and we'll wrap it up with one more tune after that. Next week, we were supposed to have Shorty from Killer on the show. He had to postpone it to the following week, so we'll have him on the second week of August. I don't really have anybody lined up for next week. I'm going to leave it that way. I know August Bird and Reb is doing a press day this week. Maybe I'll jump in on that. They're not really this kind of music for the show. We've had a lot of metalcore bands on this year because they're doing a lot of press, and unfortunately, when you want to hear some of these other bands, you got to go through that shit. But maybe we'll have him on next week if I don't find anybody else. We'll see. I got a couple of feelers out there. We'll see what happens. But Shorty from Killer will be on the second week of August. All right, enough of that nonsense. Let's get on some news.
well, Mike. How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. It's nice to talk with you.
Well, it's so nice to talk with you. Thank you for having me on.
This is my pleasure. I mean, listen, you guys have been killing it over the last couple of years, and you kind of wrapped up this little bit of a trilogy right now, and I'm kind of sad, but I'm happy in a way too because it's complete.
Yes, it is complete, and there are more things to look forward to, Mike. So we're over the moon about this one, though.
I would be too. I mean, the whole evolution thing. I mean, how did it come about? Was there a specific story you wanted to tell, or a conglomeration of stories that you wanted to put together that fit into one theme?
Yeah, sure. So we started in 1993, and we started as a five-piece. And in about 1996, we realized that the three of us, me, Eric Manuel, and Bobby Manuel, Eric plays bass, Bobby, his twin brother, plays drums. We were more serious than the other members. So we stayed as a three-piece, a power trio, Mike, for 24 years. And then COVID hit. We played a show with Soulfly in March of 2020, and then the world shut down.
Yeah.
And at that point, everybody was just sitting on their hands. We were writing songs, um, and Mike Wilday, our other guitar player, he became available. And Mike's an incredible guitar player. Like he's the real deal. I play guitar, he's a guitar player. And we just called him up and we said, "Hey, Mike, not do anything, no pressure. Why don't you just come over and just jam with us?" And he did, and we hit it off immediately. And from that point, Mike, to tie it all into the evolution thing, we started evolving as a band. We started adding different layers and dimensions that we could never do as a three piece. And so the sound kept evolving. We did Evolution 1 because we're just so excited to get the material out. And then Evolution 2, and now we've tied it into Evolution Complete. We added some new material on that one, and we tied it in a nice, pretty bow.
That you did. I mean, after almost 25 years of being the only guitar player in the band, was it difficult to adapt into a second guitar player?
It was very much welcome, especially when that other guitar player is way better than you are.
I get that. You do have to
Yeah.
work a lot harder as a three piece. Everybody's really got to carry the weight, especially when you're going from a five piece down to three.
It, you know what was cool though, Mike? The one thing I do miss about being a three piece is just the reaction. People would come up to us and say, "I walked into the show, I heard this band, this wall of sound, and then I look on stage, there's only three guys." So it was a lot of hard work. It's still a lot of hard work. We'll see reviews, and everything's just been so super positive. Like you'll get the occasional review, like, um, the vocalist could be more dynamic, and I'm like, I have to sing and play these songs, and you do have limitations to what you're physically able to do. So that does limit me, but I don't care. It's the music we want to make for the fans. The fans are our north star.
True. Yeah, everybody's a critic out there. All the people that don't do it are not involved in it always have a lot to say. But the ones that do it, they don't really criticize so much.
Exactly. Well, you've been doing this a long time too, right, Mike? I mean, you've seen a lot of bands out there. You've introduced the world to a lot of bands. Like, what grabs you? Like, makes you immediately say, like, this is talent. Anything you want to add there?
I just love a band that comes at me with pure intensity. I don't care if they're the greatest musicians in the world, if they're the best songwriters in the world, but if they believe in what they're doing and they believe in what they put out, that's what draws me in because you could tell. You could tell somebody who's faking it. You could tell a band who's just like going through like, listen, I love Kiss. That's why I got started in the 70s,
Me
but
too.
they didn't write a lot of their own music and they had a lot of people playing on the records besides themselves, but I still loved it because I
Yeah.
was a kid. But as you get older, you realize the sincerity that comes out of a band who does everything on their own. They're the DIY bands are the hardest working bands that it comes across in their music. And that's what I love about you guys. I came into you guys with the Forever Starts Today about 17, 18 years ago. And that took me back to the record before
Yeah.
that. And I've been with you since then. But there's just a sincerity to your music. And, I came up in the hardcore scene of the 80s, and CBGBs, and I was in a hardcore band back then. So I love what you're doing because you mixed that with some of the great thrash metal bands that are out there. You combine it together, and it's more than just crossover. It's a very unique sound.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what we are. We are just pure emotion and pure aggression. And we're writing and singing and playing from the soul. Yeah, amazing. I
I,
love that.
I get that. It's hard to imagine, like 35 years. I mean, it's been around 35 years you guys have been doing this, and you've been DIY the whole time, and you make it work. But other bands have a hard time doing that. And it's still the same original three guys that started it out. That's what's more impressive.
I met Eric and Bobby. Were playing minor league baseball player. In a baseball league, and I was, an 8-year-old little player, and met Eric and Bob. Immediately hit it off with them, and then we went to two separate elementary schools. So we met up again in middle school. And Eric and I had listened to the same band, so did Bob, and Eric was in my study hall. And one day I turned around and said, Eric, let's start a band. I'm going to play the guitar. He said, I'll play the bass and I'll get my brother Bob to play drums. And I think that's been a blessing for us is because we have that core and we have that shared passion.
True. I mean, were you guys all playing those instruments, before you started talking about the band, or you just say, "I'm going to play this, I'm going to play that," and you started the band from scratch?
But we started from scratch. We were
Wow.
all big Kiss fans. When I put Rock and Roll Over on my Snoopy record player when I was five, Mike, and I heard the distorted guitars kick in on I Want You. It just sucked me in, and I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make that noise, whatever that is. That's what I want to do. I want to be in a rock and roll band.
And you're doing it. I mean, you think about the early '90s when you started this band. I mean, the heavy metal scene of the '80s, which really just kind of died out by that time. There was nothing happening with those bands anymore. The hardcore scene was still thriving. There was death metal that was getting a little bit bigger and bigger. Grunge kind of took over, and that was the new flavor. How did you guys decide? Hey, I want to do something that's not old but not new, but something different, and a combination of a lot of other genres.
Yep. So we were big into Biohazard, right? Obviously, in the '80s, as we were learning our instruments, it was early Metallica stuff. It was Slayer, and then Clutch came onto the scene, and Clutch and Biohazard, and we kind of incorporated all that stuff. We got into a little bit of death metal with like Deicide and bands like that, and we just took elements from all of that. And there's even stuff in the music today that you don't necessarily hear, but it's in the recipe. And that's stuff like the Doors and Led Zeppelin and Kiss and the Beatles. I mean, it's all in there.
Yeah. You talk about Clutch. They influenced so many bands, yet they never, in my opinion, got the recognition they deserve. They came out at a time that was in between a lot of stuff going on, and yet they just like redefined music to me, in my opinion.
I will tell you, Clutch is one of my favorite bands. I think Neil Fallon, his influence has helped me evolve. You talk about an evolution, the lyrical aspect of things. So first and foremost, it was always about the music, and I was a really good like song riff writer with Eric and Bobby. But the lyrics were always like secondary, and I think it was around 2000 and around like Forever Starts Today. I started being more and more influenced by Clutch. We had played with them several times, and Neil was just such a great guy, and the whole band is great. And I'm like, this guy Neil Fallon, he just tells stories and so articulate, and he ties you in. It's like the Odyssey, and it's great stuff. I love that band.
True. I mean, when you look at all the albums that you've put out lyrically, I mean, there's such a growth from the first record up to what you're doing now, and that's only natural, I guess, as you become a better songwriter and a better songwriter. With the lyrics and everything like that. I mean, where are you right now musically as far as your writing goes, as lyrics? I mean, like, what do you really focus on right now as a lyricist?
The things I think about all the time, and I think about a lot of stuff. I would say I probably have ADHD, but I feel like everything from quantum physics to aliens, and hey, this is not our first go around. The Akashic record, a collective human consciousness, and then like I'll even think about relationships, whatever I'm feeling. Mike, you probably know this. You probably heard this from like a lot of bands. If I say I'm going to sit down and write a song, nothing will come out. But I get to use music as a creative outlet to express myself. And so if I'm feeling something about like warfare, that's about being a patriot, it's about George Washington, the French and Indian War. I'm going to write about things that I think about. And I'm going to focus everything on the audience too. Like, what do they want to hear? I'm not going to be overly political. I just want to resonate and connect people through music.
I think you've done that. I mean, when you think about you saying like, you guys just started learning how to play your instruments when you started the band. Then on top of that, you're going to be the vocalist too. It must have been challenging at first to do both at the same time.
It was supposed to be temporary. Like,
Ah,
and Eric and Bob were just like, "You're the man. Like, you're doing this." And a lot of our fans that saw like some of those in between shows, they're like, "You got to do this. You got to do this." And it was challenging. Like, there were nights I'd sitting there just practicing coordinating my hands with my mouth, and I'm Italian. It's like it's hard to do, you know. But you practice it.
I can imagine, but it's true because
Uh,
once people hear you sing and hear your voice, you are the voice of the band, and to change that would just disrupt the flow of things to me, in my opinion. It's not going to happen now after all these decades, but back then, if I heard you guys playing live, I wouldn't want to hear another singer because you're what drew me to the band, your voice.
Believe it or not, the notion does cross my mind for like a fleeting moment when I hear a really good singer, and I'm like, oh man, if we added that element to our band, it'd be something else. But I'm like, after 33 years, we've defined who we are. Now we're not going to limit ourselves, but the team we got in place right now, that's how we're going to roll this thing out.
I completely understand it. I always know the what if, like what if we did this, but you know what? When you think about it now, it's irrelevant. Listen, Metallica wanted John Bush. Would Metallica still be the same Metallica? Would Noose be the same Noose? I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah, you make a good point there, Ron. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with the you combined the two EPs for this new record, and yes, you threw in a couple extra songs, which I thought was really cool because you get a little something extra besides like the two of them combined together into one full record. But you guys have been a
Yeah.
DIY band since the beginning. I mean, have you ever tried to shop your stuff around to some of the labels, see what they can do for you? Or is it not even worth it today?
We actually got picked up on No Joke Records with our first release. They were out in LA, and like they did a great job, but it's just like we can do this ourselves. And I tend to take on a lot. I don't want to do it all. I mean, there's so much that you need to know about marketing these days, Mike, and
Yeah.
TikTok and all the social platforms. It's a good thing I have daughters who are in their early 20s, and they could help me with some of that. And we built a nice
Yeah.
social media following, but it's a lot of work. I would definitely love to have somebody take it off our hands, you know, until there's a right fit creatively and on a business sense too, right? It has to make sense. But at some point, if we keep trending the way we're trending, and again, I feel so humbled with it's radio stations like you and everybody else out there who are, that's where connections are made, and that's not
Yeah.
algorithmic. That's not Spotify. People trust you and who you play, and you're so inspirational. And to just see like you playing, the station playing, us, um, we're over the moon with it. But yeah, I mean, I digress.
I mean, social media is a big thing today. The whole internet thing is everything is evolved around that right now. But does it benefit you or does it actually hurt a band? Because there is a lot of stuff to get through to get to that one band that you really like or you really want to find out about. You got to filter out a lot of garbage to get there, and it's made it so easy for like one kid in his bedroom with a guitar and a program on a computer to make a whole band up and just put it out there, and it kind of dilutes the real bands like yourself. So is it more difficult trying to filter through the crap on like the social media sites to get the band out there, or is it still a bonus or still a big help for a band?
It's a double edged sword. So it's exactly what you just said. Right? It's watered down. There's people making music with AI now, and I couldn't live with myself if I had to do that. Um, So there's a lot of noise out there, but I think people subconsciously, um, and you talk about quantum physics, I think people resonate with real music. They might not know it's real, but there's a lot of negative stuff that you just mentioned. The positive thing about all that, Mike, is I get to connect with people from Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. That they're all playing this record in Chile. It's like amazing. Like Algeria, um, they're playing us in Algeria and these last couple of weeks a lot, and I wouldn't be able to do that without um, those platforms. But it definitely is a double-edged sword. That's why it's so important for stations and personalities like you to keep doing what you're doing because that's the roots of everything.
True. I mean, I look at your music, and you've played with some bands that are so out of your spectrum, musically, and then you play with bands that are in the same genre as yourself. I feel when you play with Queensryche, I mean, it's a completely different crowd that's going to be into Queensryche than is going to be into Noose. But how do you win that crowd over? Do you go out there saying to yourself, "I don't know how this is going to go. This really isn't like our type of crowd," but then you come out there and you surprise people.
Yeah. Um, that's a great question. I love it. Because we've been influenced by so many different genres of metal, we could form a set list that kind of fits in the ballpark with a lot of bands. Um, Now we went out there. I mean, we opened up with concrete shoes. We punched them right in the mouth, and that's like Slayer, like that's speed metal. We're not going to sit there and talk through our set. We're just going to just power through. The fans are coming out. The good thing with Queensryche that we also had in our back pocket is it was a Jersey show at the Starland Ballroom, and we have a following in Jersey. So a lot of those people that showed up there were wearing these gear. So it's kind of cool.
That is cool. Yeah, definitely a hometown crowd. And I mean, how do you find the scene to be today, especially the local scene? I mean, there's a few clubs in Jersey. We got a few. Everything here. I'm in Staten Island, but everything here in New York is basically in Brooklyn these days, where it used to be, all over. You got downtown Brooklyn, where most of the clubs are. But how do you
Yeah.
find the local scene to be? Is it enough to keep you guys busy or active, or do you got to really try to get on those tours or those one-offs?
We try and get on like a leg of a tour, a one off. The scene has really changed. It's sad a little bit, but there's still a lot of good places to play in Jersey. But it's not like it used to be. I mean, I was just talking to somebody. We used to play at Village all the time. There was like a good metal scene, the scrap bar, CBGBs, uh, the Lion Den, and
Yeah.
Hogs and Heifers, and like they used to play metal, and we used to do very very well in the Village. A lot of things have changed.
That's the truth. I mean, when you think about Evolution, the first volume that came out, it was like I think maybe a year after COVID kind of hit. Did it have the impact that you wanted it to have, or did it get kind of lost in the crowd because everything was kind of down that time in the world?
It kind of got lost in the shuffle. The one cool thing with that album was, or that EP, we created two really cool videos that won awards. Swept Away. Now they're Swept Away 26 on the new record, but the original version of Swept Away was on that, and that video won in the Manhattan Film Festival, best independent music video, uh, video of the year. And Scoundrel won something out in California at some film festival. So we're getting a lot of recognition because of those videos. Everybody's sitting at home and just scrolling through stuff, and they did very well. So that helps us.
Yeah, I mean, our music and our lifestyle is never going to be top 10 music like on broadcast or commercial radio. But Malibu really went over the top and did a lot for you guys when you put that song out.
I love that song. I love that song. Um, it was it was the first one. We recorded it like really really quickly. in March of last year, and we went right to single with it. It just came together so easy. To your point, nothing was forced. Nothing is ever forced. If it has to be forced, then it's not a good song. But this one was just like butter, and the writing of the lyrics came out smooth, and it was just a great song. Uh, Love Malibu was a great song for us. Thank you for saying that.
Well, when you're writing songs, whether you're putting them together, you're rehearsing, you're throwing ideas back and forth. You guys know when you have a song that's going to be big, it's going to hit, or do you just it's come out as a surprise to you too after it's all done? Like, wow, look at the hell we just put together.
I'm really surprised. It goes both ways. Sometimes you get it right, and other times you're completely off. Like Fearmonger and Gaslit right now are just people are playing those songs like in a ridiculous fashion, in a good way. Um, and we're like, Total Swallow is going to be the song that people listen to. It's going to catch everybody. It's kind of a crossover a little bit. It's got a lot of different elements of different genres of metal. But completely caught off guard with Fearmongers and Gaslit, the popularity with those.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you put out Evolution, Volume One, you knew there was going to be a second one coming out because you called the first one Volume One. Was everything kind of
Yeah,
recorded at the same time, or was it an evolution from album to album? And you say, you know what, this is where we pick up where we left off.
it was an evolution. I mean, we got with Mike, and we immediately, me and Erica Bobby already had a couple songs. Fearmongers was one of them, where we had the whole song like written from a music standpoint, and then Mike comes in and puts this guitar intro to it, and then he puts in these triads in there, and I'm like listening to it. I'm like, this is a whole new dimension. At first, I was like, Mike. At first, I was like, what did he do to our song? And then I listened to it again, and I'm like, what did he do to our song? This is absolutely insane. This is great. Um, so we wanted to get those songs out quickly. So we're like, okay, we're already working on like 10 songs, but let's put these out. Let's call it Volume One, and then we'll do Volume Two next. And that's the kind of path and plan. But we evolve, in our writing, and um, we diversify by adding another guitar player, another element there. It's so super cool.
Now, obviously, you put out all full length records before the Evolution series came out. A lot of bands today are going more towards the EPs and really just single after single after single because I feel that it's getting harder to grab people's attention to listen to a whole album. I come from a school where you bought an album, you played it from start to finish, and you play them over and over
Yeah.
again. But the younger kids today, they don't think that way. So, is this going to affect the way you write albums in the future? Will you just stick with the EP format or singles, or you're going to go back to full length for the next one?
I don't know. It's a great question. I'm a traditionalist like yourself, Mike. I remember riding my twin scrambler to the record store, picking out some vinyl, 10 years old, riding back with the vinyl between my handlebars and putting it on my turntable, and then just reading the liner notes, staring
Yeah.
at the album cover, and just getting immersed into that. So, but I do understand, like, kids think differently. I was surprised to see that the majority of our audience on this new record is between 18 and 24. And that's like the first time ever, because usually it's, Gen X and, some Gen Z. But so I'm thinking maybe that's something we need to look into.
Well, this younger audience today, these like 18-year-olds, these 20-year-olds, I mean, it's amazing how they've gravitated towards, our generation's music because I think they've realized that there's something there, there's something deep to it, and it's more than just what the bands of today are putting out. If you can even find the band today, it's most like I said, just one kid or two kids in their room putting together bands and just change the name and put out
Yeah.
music. There's no real band. I guess they caught on to like what was really good, and I love it that they're so into like what we were doing back then, and they're loving it now.
Yeah. It's up. So I'm down the Jersey Shore right now with my wife and my daughters and their boyfriends. And um, my one daughter's boyfriend, he plays the guitar. I'm like, bring your Telecaster and let's jam. We've been playing Steve Miller, we've been playing Zeppelin, The Doors, and we've been playing Metallica. He's 21 years old, and he loves our music, and he loves, and it's so refreshing to see. I think there's something authentic about the music we listen to, Mike. Um, and I'm not just saying that to sound like a boomer or anything. I just truly believe like it was written by humans and there was real emotion behind it.
And it shows and it comes out in your music. And Mike, I'm not going to keep. I'm going to let you get back to your family. Enjoy the nice day we have out there today. We had horrible weather yesterday,
Yeah,
so I'm glad that you're out there enjoying it
yeah,
right now. But what do you got coming up for the rest
yeah.
of this year? I mean, the album officially came out last month in June. People could buy it right now.
Yeah.
But what do you got coming up for the next 5 or 6 months till we wrap up 26?
So Mike Wilday, our other guitar player, he just tore a tendon in his index finger, so
Ah,
we can't do shows for 12 weeks. But so that is an EP that comes out in 2027 or a full length. We're just going to continue to write, and then once he heals, we're going to start playing out some shows. We'll probably get on big ticket, band shows. When they come through different legs of the tour, we could do a show or a couple shows with them. So we'll look to play out in the fall, and we'll continue to write. And we have a lot left in the tank, Mike, and can't wait for 2027. But we're going to enjoy Evolution Complete right now.
and you should. You did a great job on this album, Mike. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to play a couple of songs off this record for everybody to hear. I mean, what an amazing job you did. Just keep it up, buddy.
Thank you so much. And sincerely from the bottom of my heart, thank you for spending the band. We're very humbled by it, and we appreciate all the love. You guys have been great. The audience has been great, and we couldn't be happier. And thank you.
You got it, my friend. Have a great night. Take care. Talk to you soon, Mike.
All right, you too. All right, Mike. Bye.
Bye bye.
Never did you wanna
right, brand new Nuse with concrete shoes. I want to thank Mike and Tom for being on tonight's show. I appreciate it. I will see you guys next Sunday night. How about we wrap it up with one more tune here? We'll do a little Majestic Right for everybody, Survivor. Take care, everyone. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Sunday.
Seasons unleashing, mighty winds above the night. Oh, and just the winds ripping from titles arriving at rages at once. Can't break all the spells every month, capitalizing all forms of new life. I survived all this time, almost perished from the raging sea. Wondered how my life lead from its dangers. And became on the ship, taking down into the depths. When I lived through this loss, almost perished from this raging sea. Titles arriving at rages at once. Can break all the spells every month, capsizing all forms of new life. I survived all this time, almost perished from the raging sea.